here. Pleased to have invited him to see the most dynamic community, dynamic mayor, and congressional delegation that includes Congressman Al Green, Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia, Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher, and yours truly, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, and there are many others, but this is the dynamic delegation that we're so glad to have present here today. Somebody wanted to clap for the dynamic delegation. I knew that as the Secretary begins to implement the bipartisan infrastructure dollars, which this community is front and center for the initial portions of that $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill, that the Secretary was very instrumental in his fact-finding, his advocacy on facts, as he met with the United States Congress and any number of congressional hearings to bring us to a point where those dollars, along with the Inflation Reduction Act, that will match together to help us be the cornerstone of new innovation in the world. And Houston, Texas, its aviation component, will be a major part of it, led by our own climate mayor, who has seen innovation grow up in Midtown, downtown, and in the airport. We are an innovation city. Would you give our mayor a very big hand? So before we even start, as I acknowledge our county attorney, Councilmember Robinson, an architect and planner, the leadership of the mayor's dynamic development team, labor is here, all representatives we will hear from, and the Chief of Operations is here from the Houston Airport as well. We have the whole team. But before we even start, I think it is important to be able to show this wonderful first down payment. And so the Secretary, if you would come forward, and the Mayor, colleagues, we're going to do this right at the beginning. Because I think people have to see what that's the big $40 million that is now coming down the pipe, and as we have seen, you'll be seeing a major reformation of these dollars and other dollars. And Terminal A is not going to look like Terminal A. I would say in the weeks and months to come, somebody is employed and is working. But the renderings are going to turn into reality. And the smiling faces of the traveling public, which this Secretary has been a champion of, they're going to have a smile every time they come to better doors. Better doors, climate change doors, doors that contain air conditioning, and doors that contain the heat when necessary in the winter that we may have. So I wanted everybody to know that the Secretary has not looking and he's already put a down payment. And of course, he's looking at me by knowing that I'm trying to push more money. Because that's coming. But I wanted him to see. She explained. I wanted to see our business community and Cheryl Gass. I wanted him to see in her leadership the union working community that we have the right kind of workers here. I wanted you to see the management and of all the city government that has been extremely important in bringing us where we are. So here we are, $40 million.
District and to see so many great things going on here for myself. We're having a great visit so far. We began at North Forest High School with students who have a bright future in transportation. We were at Texas Southern earlier, your alma mater, I believe, Congresswoman Garcia, saw the remarkable aviation and other programming they have here. So pleased to be here at the airport and later on looking at the metro. Mayor, it's great to be with you. Mayor whose leadership is so well known in the community of mayors that it reached as far as Indiana when I had that time, and is now an excellent partner for us in the federal administration. Director Diaz, you and your team have a great deal to be proud of here, and your enthusiasm is contagious. I want to thank all of the local leaders, county leaders, the labor leaders who are here, who we will be turning to in so many ways to deliver this. And a special thank you to the congressional delegation here, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, again, Congressman Al Green, and Congresswoman Garcia. We are so thankful for you. I want to make it very clear there is a direct line of cause and effect between their support for the bipartisan infrastructure law and the funding that we are delivering to Houston and everywhere around the country. It is because they agreed to team up with fellow members of Congress under the President's leadership that we have a historic investment in everything from highways to ports to rail to, of course, airports, transit, and everything in between. And we would not be here without their support. In addition to the Inflation Reduction Act that we'll be celebrating tomorrow at the White House, lowering prescription drug costs, lowering the federal deficit, lowering energy bills for Americans, and doing so many other good things. In our department, we're hard at work delivering on that infrastructure law, and there's so many examples of that, including right here in Houston, as was mentioned earlier. $21 million from the Department of from the infrastructure law from our department to rebuild Telephone Road, to make it safer, new sidewalks, better crosswalks, more protected bike lanes, protecting some of the most vulnerable road users and some of the most underserved residents in the city. And I'll tell you, Mayor and everybody who was part of that, each of these members strongly supported that application. This was a very competitive process. More than $10 requested for every one we could give out, so you should be very proud that you won in that process. And then another $21 million to buy a new fleet of electric buses, meaning cleaner air, faster commutes, and less greenhouse gases and pollution going into the air from our transit. And then there's our airports. In a country that ushered in the modern aviation age, and yet we feel so many times, especially when we're abroad, and see something magnificent in one of those airports overseas, we think, why shouldn't we have that? And we should, and we will, thanks to the investments that we're making. When you're checking in, you ought to be able to get to security, check your bags, get to your gate without any unnecessary delay. If you're traveling with small children, as Chasten and I are from time to time, you ought to have an easy place to change your baby when you're at a layover. If you're traveling for work, you ought to be able to plug in and charge. The improvements that are being made now are going to make a huge difference, both in the things you see in the gates and the terminals, and things most passengers won't think about, like the energy efficiency of the doors we just walked in, the condition of the power plant. There's so many other things that go on under the hood. Now, to date, George Bush Intercontinental Airport has received over $80 million through that bipartisan infrastructure law. And that's going to make it faster and easier to do all of those things. Check your bags, get through security, find your gates. It's going to reduce the carbon footprint of this airport. And it's going to drive jobs and economic growth in Houston for years to come. Because, of course, we're also putting people to work building that new infrastructure with good-paying jobs. So many good-paying union jobs are being created through this legislation and this investment. I would add that there is a major opportunity for wealth creation for those who have been left out in the past. The history of airport construction in the United States includes, for example, some of the best engines to create thriving Black and Latino middle classes in America's cities. And we're mindful of the opportunity on the road ahead here. And this is just one of the airports that have already got funding from that infrastructure law. We're doing a new terminal in Pittsburgh, new gates in Orlando, better bathrooms in Chattanooga, better escalators in Huntsville, a general aviation terminal in South Dakota that's currently a mobile home will be replaced with the building that they ought to have. All of this to make it better for the American traveling public. And yes, I have a feeling with all of the additional programs that we're about to release that we will be getting a lot more applications for grant funding from Houston and the surrounding area, and I trust that there will be strong applications. So I just want to close with one other reflection, because we're here right in the middle of the flow. We see so many people coming and going, and I want to acknowledge the many workers who are the true engine of this place, whether it's the airport management team, the pilots, flight attendants, TSA, CBP, the folks who are handling the baggage, the people who are making sure the wheelchairs, who are working the concessions, the gate agent stands, whatever your role is in this airport, we acknowledge that infrastructure is your workplace. And you deserve a first-rate workplace, as all Americans do. That's what this is about. That's what we're proud to team up to deliver. And that's why I'm looking forward to returning again and again to see the further progress that's going to be made. Thank you again for the great hospitality and the chance to celebrate this wonderful time. Thank you.